好的，谢谢。
It's wonderful to be in the house of the Lord with you.
真的是很高兴又在神的家里跟大家相遇。
It's amazing how quick time passes.
真是时间过得好快。
You know, about 30 years ago when we started serving together, we didn't need glasses.
30年以前，当我们开始一起服侍的时候，我们俩都不需要戴老花眼镜。
You know, oftentimes I think it's really true that we don't cherish the things that we have until they're gone.
有时候我们真的是不珍惜我们现在所拥有的，除非我们已经没有了。
And time goes through us like water through finger.
时间过得就好像从我们的指尖流过，
It's hard to cup it and hold it.
我们实在是很难能够把时间握住，握在我们的手中。
It was about, surprising, this is my 11th year at Stanford.
这让我想一想，这是我在斯坦福大学第11年了。
It's, I think about, was it 4 or 5 years ago, Steve, that we started, this church started?
About 4 years.
4 years, about November, right? Near
December.
December
5th.
Yeah, almost 4 years. Let's cherish the times that we do have together.
让我们这个教会在这个地方聚会已经第4年了，所以真的是让我们来珍惜在这里每一刻我们大家相聚的时间。
Yeah. Today I want to share with you something, the title of this message is called Bread of Life.
今天要跟大家分享信息是生命之粮。
So the text for this passage is from John, book of John, chapter 6, verses 25 to 35.
我们今天的经文是约翰福音第6章第25节到第35节，可以。
Okay, now we can. All right. Let's read it together.
我们大家一起来看这一段经
Or
文。
Lily, do you want to read it? Or you want
呀，
to?
我们大家一起读好不好？这样我们可以大家一起进入。帮我一下，因为我眼睛看不清楚。好的，约翰福音第6章25节开始，我们一起来预备起。既在海那边找着了，就对他说：“拉比，是几时到这里来的？”耶稣回答说：“我实实在在地告诉你们，你们找我，并不是因见了神迹，乃是因吃饼得饱。不要为那必坏的食物劳力，要为那存到永生的食物劳力，就是人子要赐给你们的，因为人子是父神所印证的。” 众人问他说：“我们当行什么才算做神的功呢？”耶稣回答说：“信神所差来的，这就是做神的功。”他们又说：“你行什么神迹，叫我们看见就信你？你到底做什么事呢？我们的祖宗在旷野吃过玛拿，如经上写着说，他从天上赐下粮来给他们吃。” 耶稣说：“我实实在在地告诉你们，那从天上来的粮，不是摩西赐给你们的，乃是我父将天上来的真粮赐给你们。因为神的粮，就是那从天上降下来赐生命给世界的。”他们说：“主啊，常将这粮赐给我们。”耶稣说：“我就是生命的粮。” 到我这里来的必定不饿，信我的永远不渴。
Let's pray together.
让我们来祷告。
Lord, you are the giver of life.
主啊，你是赐生命的，
You are the everlasting light.
你是永生的，
And in your presence we are set free.
在你的面前，我们得到真自由。
Lord, arrest our wandering hearts today.
主啊，把我们游荡的心抓回来，
Help us to hear what you have to say to us this morning.
帮助我们能够听见今天早上你要我们所听见的。
In Jesus' name.
奉耶稣名求。
Okay, so this passage is actually a very well-known passage in the Gospel of John.
这段经文在约翰福音中是一个非常有名的一段经文。
In some ways, it's also the most difficult.
事实上，这也是一段非常难懂的经文。
There are 21 verses in the book of John. Chapter 6 is the longest chapter.
在约翰福音有21章，而第6章是最长的一章。
This chapter has 70 verses.
这一章有72节，
The others are most like 50 verses or less generally.
而其他的章数呢，大部分都是50节以下。
It's not only the longest, it's also the hardest in many ways.
我觉得这不仅是最长的一章，可能也是最难懂的一章。
Let me just to give you a quick sense of what the lay of the land here.
我在这边给大家一些背景的介绍。
You know, at the very beginning of the Gospel of John, if you have the book, you can look at it. It was the story of the feeding of the 5,000.
在这第6章一开始的时候，他告诉我们，耶稣喂饱了5000人以上。
And probably one of his great miracles, certainly one of the most witnessed, because there were 5,000 men, so there's a lot of people there.
是他很大的神迹之一，当然也是最多人看见的一个神迹，因为告诉我们，在那里吃这些东西的有超过5000个男人。
And he used remember the 5 loaves and the 2 fish from the little boy.
可能记得这个故事是从那个小男孩手里的5饼跟2鱼所行的神迹。
Everybody was fed, and then there were 12 baskets left over.
每个人都吃饱了，而且还有剩下12篮的食物。
And then the Gospel of John goes on to describe an event where the disciples moved across the Sea of Galilee.
然后接着，约翰福音告诉我们说，他的门徒就坐着船越过了这个加利利海。
It was a night, and Jesus appeared to them walking on the water.
然后那个是在夜里的时候，而耶稣是在水上行走。
And then comes this passage we're going to be looking at today. I just call it the discourse of the bread of life.
所以接着就是我们今天所要谈的生命的粮的这一段。
This is such a hard verse that it caused a lot of arguments and dissensions among his followers.
因为这一段是这么样难懂，是这么样具有挑战性的，所以在这个之后，跟随他的人中间产生了很多的
And
争
the
议。
Bible said many turned away because of this passage.
而圣经告诉我们说，很多人因为耶稣讲的这一段话而离开了他。
Yeah, so let's look at the very beginning of this chapter, chapter 6, verses 3 to 14.
所以我们来看一下这一章一开始的时候。
We don't have to look at it in detail. Most of you know the story. It's the 5,000 being fed in the wilderness.
我们不需要很细节的来看这一段，大部分人也知道耶稣在旷野里喂饱了5000人的故事。
I just want to note to you that in verse 14, the passage says, after the people saw the signs that Jesus performed, they began to say, surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world.
我只要跟大家指出第14节，众人看见耶稣所行的神迹，就说这真是他要到世间来的先知。
This was a high moment. This is a rock star moment.
这个是耶稣这个非常受大人的众人爱戴的一个时间。
But Jesus didn't keep himself there. He by the time, as he continued, he started talking about how he is the bread of life.
但耶稣接着跟大家讲的这一段，就是他告诉众人，他就是生命的粮。
And in fact, it gets to a crescendo in verses 54. He says, whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life.
所以在最高峰的时候，第54节，他这个要说：吃我的肉、喝我的血的人就有永生。
And I will raise him up in the last day.
在末日，我要叫他复活。
For my flesh is real food and my blood is real drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me.
我的肉真是可吃的，我的血真是可喝的。吃我的肉、喝我血的人，常在我里面，我也常在他里
I
面。
in him. Just as the living Father sent me and I live because of the Father, so the one who feeds on me will live because of me.
永活的父怎样差我来，我也因父活着，照样吃我肉的人也要因我活着。
This is tough stuff.
这个是一个非常难懂、很
It
难
sounds
咀
like
嚼的一个东
cannibalism.
西，好像我们觉得怎么好像吃人一样的。
So no wonder a little later we read that their disciples are saying exactly what I just said. This is tough stuff.
难怪接着很多的门徒就在里面讨论我刚刚告诉你们的，这个真的是很难
He
接
said,
受
who
的
can
东西。
accept it?
谁能够接受这样的教导？
And verse 61 says they started grumbling.
然后第61节告诉我们说，他们就开始议论了。
Yeah, and Jesus says, why are you grumbling?
然后耶稣就说：“你们为什么在里面议论呢
And he goes on, and then eventually he doesn't back off, he doubles down.？”
然后耶稣并没有因此而退一步，反而他更进一步了。
And he says, well, those you believe. If you believe, it's because God let you believe.
他说，如果你相信，是因为神让你相信。
And if you don't believe, well, maybe you did, I'm not going to lose anybody. Everyone who's going to hear is going to hear.
说我不会因为说这一句话而失去什么人，真正要信我的人就能听得进去。
In verse 66, we see that from this time on, it says, many of his disciples turned away and no longer followed him.
然后66节告诉我们说，从此他门徒中有很多退去的，不再和他同行。
So this idea of the living bread, this teaching of the living bread, is so essential to Christianity, and yet it's like a watershed issue.
这个教导关于生命的粮是基督教信仰的中心，但是也是像一个分水岭一样。
There are two rivers that start in Yellowstone. They're right next to each other, only a couple of miles away.
我知道比方说在黄石公园有2条河，它们都在黄石公园，中间距离非常短。
But one of them is going to wander around and get into the Pacific. The other one goes into the Gulf of Mexico because there's a watershed in between.
这2条河有一个会流入墨西哥湾，有一个会流入太平洋。为什么呢？因为是分水岭的缘故。
So it is that at the very beginning of Jesus' ministry, there were a lot of people who were very excited about him.
所以在耶稣刚出来传道的时候，有很多人非常的兴奋，很多人跟着他。
But when he started talking about the bread of life, he lost some.
但是当他讲到生命的粮的时候，他就失去了一些人。
But he also kept some.
但是他也保留了一些。
So let's reflect on what it is that he's talking about and how it relates to us today.
所以我们来研究一下，到底他说的是什么，而他所说的今天与我们有什么关系？
And so I want to just focus on 3 things.
我要跟大家讲3点。
The first is, what is this bread from heaven?
第一点是什么是生命之粮？
The second is, where does it come from?
第二点是这个粮是从哪儿来的？
And the third one is, how do I get it?
第3点是我们怎么样能够得到它？
So very simple. What is this? Where does it come from? And how do we get it?
所以非常的简单啊，到底它是什么？从哪儿来？我们怎么样得到它？
Okay, so the first one, what is this bread of heaven?
所以第一点，到底这个生命之粮是什么呢？
So there's an important distinction we need to make about this word life.
所以我在这里觉得生命生命之粮这个生命有个非常重要，我们需要区分出来。
Bread of life.
什么叫做生命之粮？
There are 2 Greek words that's used for the word of life, for that English word life.
你看这个英文字“生命”这个字，希腊文事实上是2个字。
One is bios,
第一个叫做 bio，
like biology, bios.
嗯。
The other one is zoe, Z-O-E.
第2个字叫做 zoe。
So bios refers to biological, physical life.
bio 呢，它讲到是生物方面，是肉体方面的一个生命。
Zoe is a word that's used to describe the quality of that life.
而 zoe 呢，是形容这个生命的素质。
This issue is really important in the Bible, and especially in the Gospel of John.
这2个区分是非常的重要，尤其是在约翰福音。
Yeah, bio refers to physical existence. It's air going through your lungs. It's blood pumping through your heart.
所以当我们讲到 bio 呢，它是在讲你这个肉体的生命，讲到血怎么样的循环，讲到你怎么样呼吸。
Zoe describes the quality of life. It's life with meaning and energy and joy and engagement.
但是 zoe 呢，讲的是你属灵的生命，它讲到你生命中的喜乐，讲到你生命中的意义。
When the Bible talks about Jesus coming and giving us eternal life, he's not just talking about eternal existence.
所以当耶稣说我来给你们永生的时候，他所说的并不是永远的肉体的存在。
Eternal existence without quality is pretty bad. In fact, we call it hell.
事实上，如果你的肉体永远的存在，但是没有任何生活素质的话，我们叫它叫地狱。
When Jesus says, I have come to give them life, and life in abundance, he's talking about this quality, this Zoe.
所以当耶稣说我来是要给你们生命，并且得的更丰盛，他所讲的是生命的素质。
It's a life lived with energy, with exhilaration, with joy.
是一个让你生活觉得非常有能量，是让你觉得非常喜乐、非常有动力。
And he said this lasts into eternity.
然后他告诉你说，他所给你的生命，这样的生命是直到永生的。
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about Jesus saying the bread of heaven is not just eternal existence, it's eternal life, eternal Zoe.
所以他要告诉我们说，他所给我们的生命之粮，不是让你永远就这样活着，而是要给你永远的有素质、喜乐的生命。
Yeah, it's a very radical, very fulfilling, very engaged,
这是一个
purposeful.
非常有目的、非常有能量、非常有素质的生命。
Yeah, he says, don't work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life.
所以他说，不要光为这个世界上的粮食来劳苦，你要得到的应该是那个属天的、属灵的那个粮食。
So what he's saying here is that, you aim too low.
所以他就告诉你说，你的眼光太低了。
You are worried about the tummy stuff.
因为你所焦虑的，你所关心的就是你肚腹的事情。
So, but there's a bigger problem we face, and I'm here to solve the bigger problem.
但是我们人生所面对的有更大的事情，而我在这里要解决的就是那个更大的问题。
And so, 更大的问题, right? There we go. So, recently in the Stanford CEF, Campus Evangelistic Fellowship, we have been studying this workbook called Designing Your Life.
在最近，在我们的史坦福校园福音团契，我们在一起研读一本书，叫做《Designing Your Life》，设计你的生命。
It's a really cool book. It's started in Stanford. A couple of Stanford professors designed it. It's from the design school.
真的是一本非常好的书。这个写的是2个史坦福的教授，他们也是史坦福的设计系的教授。
Yeah, and one of the distinctions that the book makes is the difference between a design problem and an engineering problem.
所以他一开始就告诉你说你要注意到问题有2个不同的模式，有一个叫做设计方面的问题，有一个叫做工程方面的问题。
They make the distinction that the engineering problem tends to be more well defined. It's more structured.
而工程方面的问题是比较看得清楚这个问题到底是什么，而且比较有模式，知道怎么解决。
Usually there's a good solution and a better solution. There's one way to solve this thing.
事实上有一个很好的解决的方法，同时就是有一个最好的解决的最好解决的方法。
The design problem is a little more complicated because the design problem is often kind of vague.
但设计的问题比较复杂，为什么？因为设计的问题比较好像摸不着它。
Like for example, you want to build a sports car. There are many ways to build a sports car.
比方说，你要设计一个跑车，你要设计跑车有很多不同的方式来设计。
Eventually, you have a lot of small engineering problems, but at the beginning, it's actually there's so many different. It's just it involves emotion, it involves aesthetics. It's not just a structured problem.
事实上，设计一个跑车，当然有一些部分它是等于说工程方面你要知道怎么样设计，但当一开始的时候，你要知道，因为它是会牵涉到你的感觉，牵涉到你的感情、你的激情的。
And the unique thing about a design problem is that it requires you to define the problem.
设计问题的独特性就是你需要把这个问题能够把它定义出来。
Yeah, problem definition is a big part of design.
所以你能够知道到底它的问题是什么，这个是你设计非常重要的一步。
So the other day we were talking about this in the fellowship, and so I was leading, and so I asked, what is mankind's biggest problem?
所以在那里，当我在带这一课的时候，我就问了我们的团体说：“你觉得人最大的问题是什么？”
So there were some suggestions. Some of you were there, so you may remember. So some people say, well, it's figuring out why we're here. So
所以有一些人，你们有一些在这里啊，就说有一些人就说，就是我们要知道为什么我们在这里，到底人生的意义是什么。
Somebody else thought about it and said, oh, it's income inequality.
有一些人就说，哦，是贫富不均。
Somebody else said, it's global warming, man.
有一些人就说是地球渐暖。
Somebody else said, oh, it's greed. It's just greed. Everybody's greedy.
有一些人就说是贪婪，因为每个人都贪婪。
I thought this is really interesting. So I said, in the book, they said there's something called a gravity problem.
所以在这一本就是那个《Designing Your Life》这本书，它告诉我们说，问题其中有一类的问题叫做 就是它的 gravitation 像地心吸引力那一类的问
He
题。
said if you want to design your life, you should ignore the gravity problem because some problems are like gravity. They're always there. You can't address it. So we call it a gravity problem.
所以这本书告诉我们，就是当你要设计你的人生的时候，你要分清楚，有一些问题就是好像地心吸引力一样，是你没有办法解决的一些东
Don't
西。
spend all your time trying to address a gravity problem. You know, it's like if only my husband would be like blah blah blah. Maybe that's not a gravity problem. I don't know. So if only I wasn't the second born, you know, because I always say if only those are gravity problems. So forget it.
所以他说，设计你的人生的时候，有一些是无法解决的问题，比方说你的丈夫长得很帅，这个是
长得不帅就倒 just the way it goes.
所以就这一类的问题不是你能够做什么的，所以设计人生的时候不要去解决那一类的问题。
So when we were listing down all these human mankind problems, I put in death. I said that feels like a problem to me. That I'm having such a good time, but I can't hang on to it. I'm going to die.
所以当我在说人生最大的问题的时候，我就说第一个是死亡。
So I put all these things down, and then I asked them, so how many of these things are gravity problems?
所以当我们列了一大堆东西出来的时候，我就问他们有哪一些是所谓无法解决的问题，不可能解决的问题。
So here's a very big difference between a Christian and a non-Christian worldview.
所以一个基督徒跟一个非基督徒世界观很大的区别就在这里。
So we all see a lot of common problems like unfairness, injustice, pain, suffering, disease, decay. Some things people say they're not addressable.
所以我们大家都能够看到世界上有很多的问题，比方说不公平，比方说死亡，比方说痛苦，比方说病痛，但是我们就是说对于他的这个看法是有很大的区
A lot of people
别。
say, well, death is not addressable, so it's a gravity problem. We all die, right?
所以有一些人就说，比方说死亡，它是一个不能解决的问题，所以我们大家都会死嘛，反正没有办法解决。
The other problem is what the Bible calls sin.
但另外一个圣经说的问题是罪。
Sin in the Bible is man deciding that rather than God-centered, he wants to be self-centered.
罪，圣经的定义就是人他本来应该以神为中心的，但他选择以自己为中心。
And in that choice, the Bible says, many other consequences followed.
圣经告诉我们说，因为那么样的一个选择，很多的后果就跟着而来。
And so, for example, greed and selfishness.
比方说，就有自私出现，或者是贪婪出现。
And greed and selfishness leads to things like income inequality.
因为有自私，因为有贪婪，所以可能就带来贫富不均。
Global warming is a hard problem because of selfishness.
事实上，地球的这种变暖是也跟人的贪婪有很大关系。
So the Bible says there is something called sin and there is something called death, and those two things are the most important problems that people face.
而圣经告诉我们说，罪和死是人类面对最大的问题。
And behind both of those really big problems is one single problem.
在这两个问题的中间是一个同样的一个罪根，
The real problem is separation from God.
而这个根源呢，就是人与神隔离了。
When we are separated from God, we find ourselves in a world of selfish creatures, and when we're separated from God, we find ourselves in a world in which we can long for eternity, but we can't get there.
所以，当人与神隔离的时候，我们就会进到一个自私的、一个罪恶的一个世界，同时我们也是进入一种向往永生却又得不到永生的境况。
But what is Jesus saying here?
但耶稣在这里说的是什么
He
呢？
said, sin and death are not gravity problems.
他告诉我们说，罪跟死不是无法解决的问题。
He says, look for the bread that actually won't spoil and will last to eternity.
他说：“你们要找的那个是一个生命的粮，是一个不会毁坏的粮。
And he claims that this is what he's going to come to tell us.
这就是他为什么要来到我们中间，告诉我们的事情。
Yeah. You know, we look at life and we say life is messy.
当我们看到生命的时候，我们说，生命有时候真的是一团糟。
there's a lot of pain, a lot of suffering.
有很多的痛苦，有很多的受苦，
There's a lot of personal pain.
有很多苦难，个人性的苦难。
There's social pain, global pain.
我们有世界上的苦难，我们有全球性的苦难。
So where is God when it hurts?
当我们受痛苦的时候，神，你到底在哪里？
But the Bible says, this world we're in is not the way it was before.
但圣经告诉我们说，我们现在这个世界不是原先神造的那个世界。
That when man turned against his creator, when man rebelled, the world fell.
但当人叛离了他的神的时候，整个的世界就进入了罪恶，就跌倒。
Out of this Bible, the first 2 chapters, there was no suffering and no pain.
在整个的这一本圣经前面这2章没有讲到痛苦，没有讲到罪恶。
God created a beautiful place. Adam and Eve were in a good spot.
神造了一个美丽的世界，而亚当跟夏娃是在一个优美的地方。
Genesis 3, man exercised his independence.
但是在创世纪第3章的时候，告诉我们说，人选择要人要选择他 exercise his what?
Independence.
要宣告他的独立性。
Very good. And then then the last 2 chapters of this Bible,
圣经
Revelations 21:22.
最后的2章，也就是启示录21、22章，
There is also no suffering
在那里也没有罪恶，也没有痛苦，
because God and man reconciled.
因为在那里神跟人和好了。
But everything in between
但是在这个中间所
is
记
messy.
载的都是一团糟的人的生命，
It's messy.
是一个非常一团糟。
What is incredible is that God created a being that could say no to him, and he, in divine, his decision is to protect that ability to say no at all costs. Yeah, if you didn't get it, then we can move on. We'll do it again. She's my test to make sure I didn't babble too much. This is right. So, you know, we talk about wild animals. You know, some animals are domestic, some animals are wild.
有时候我们讲到说，有一些动物是野性的动物，有一些动物是家里养的动物。
This is Christian pastor C.K. Chesterton. He said the only wild animal is God, is man. Man is the only wild animal.
事实上，有一个牧师 C.K. Chesterton 他说，事实上世界上只有一个野的动物，就不驯服的一个动物，就是人。
I think in a way it's really true
我觉得他讲的很对，
because every other animal play by the rules.
因为任何其他的动物都是照着神要它的那个形象
But
活出来的。
we are an animal that could say no to God.
但是我们是唯一那个可以对神说不的那个动物，
And so oftentimes we do.
所以常常我们就是对
And we are
神说不，
literally in a rebellion.
而我们真的是活着一个抗拒神的生命，
Yeah. And we get used to it.
然后我们就很习惯常常的跟神说不。
There is a book called Watership Down. How many of you read Watership Down?
有一本书叫《Watership Down》，有多少人看过这一本书
？Watership
Down，
Oh, okay. So let me tell you about Watership Down.
我告诉你这本书。
It's a book about a bunch of rabbits.
那这本书是讲到一群兔子，
They had problems where they live in Warren.
呀，就是说这一群兔子呢，在他们原来生活的那个地方出了问题，
They were in a construction project.
因为在那个地方人开始要建
And
屋
as they
子，
wandered, they came to a new home, a new breed of rabbits.
所以呢，他们这一群兔子就要逃走。在他们逃的时候呢，他们逃的那个地方，他们遇到另外一群兔子。
And these rabbits are huge and beautiful with sleek, shining hair and perfect claws and perfect teeth.
然后就哇，这一些兔子长得太美了，又肥，它的毛又漂亮，爪子又美啊。
So these wild rabbits said, "How do you live so well?"
所以这些野兔子就问这一些兔子：“你们怎么会过着这么好的日子啊？
Don't you have to forage for food?
难道你们不需要去找食物吃吗？”
And the tame rabbits explained that food is provided for them.
然后就是这些很肥胖的兔子就是说：“哦，食物是有人给我们吃的。
Every day we get carrots and apples and corn and kale.
每一天的时候，都有人给我们吃胡萝卜，给我们吃苹果，给我们吃各样的蔬菜。
Life is good.
然后生活在这儿过得真是好。
But after a few days, the wild rabbits noticed that one of the fattest and sleekest of the tame rabbits just disappeared.
结果过了几天，这些野兔子就注意到那个最肥、最胖、最美的那个兔子就不见了。
Oh, it happens occasionally, the tame rabbits explain.
所以其他的这些胖兔子就说：“哎呀，这只是偶尔发生一下的事情。”
But we don't let it interfere with our lives.
但是这个样的事情，我们不让它来打扰我们的
It's
生
too
活，
much good to enjoy.
因为生活正好，我们就享受吧。
But eventually, the wild rabbits found that this land is filled with traps.
所以后来这些野兔子就发现，这一些肥兔子住的这些地方，事实上有很多的陷阱。
Death hangs like a mist over their heads.
而事实上，对于这一些肥兔子而言，死亡一直都在他们的身边。
So these tame rabbits, in exchange for their plush environment, they willingly close their eyes to this very simple fact that the imminence of death.
所以这一些肥兔子为了要继续过他们美好的生活，他们就对于偶尔会被别人抓去死的这件事情，他好像闭着眼睛不去看了。
So Watership Down is a fable, of course.
但当然，这本书《Watership Down》它只是一个寓言而已。
But like the fat and sleek rabbits,
但就像那个又肥又胖的兔子一样，
we often think the purpose of life is to live well.
我们常常觉得人生是要怎么样过，就是要让自己过得舒服啊。
We don't think about things like the fact that every one of us is either going to die or say goodbye to someone we love.
我们常常不去想这件事，有一天你我会死，或者我们会对我们所爱的人告别。
That this is the nature of the life we live in.
但我们活的人生就是这个样子的。
But Jesus came along and said, you know, I didn't come here to just fill your tummy. I know you saw me feed those people, but the more important thing is actually I want to show you something much more valuable.
耶稣说：“我来这里不是光填饱你的肚腹，我知道你们刚刚吃饱了很舒服，但是我来是要做更大的一件事情，我要喂养你们的。” Did you say that?
Yes, the bread of life is to escape on the obsession of tummy filling.
所以天上的粮是干什么？就让你不要一天到晚光想着这个肚子有没有吃饱这件事情。
So Jesus, don't work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life.
所以耶稣就在这里告诉我们说：“你不要为那个会朽坏的食物而劳
He said there's a quality of life here, even on this earth, and in the future, that only I can give.
在这个世界上，一直到永生，有一种生命的素质是只有我才可以给你的。”
Oh, that leads to my second question.
所以现在就使得我们能够谈第二个问题：
Where does it come from? Where does this food come from?
这个粮是从哪儿来的？
So, you know, let's look at what Jesus says.
我们来看一下耶稣说的
Verse 33.
第33节。因为神的粮就是那从天上降下来赐生命给世界的。
So it comes from God.
它是从神而来的。
And then in verse 35, Jesus is very explicit.
35节，耶稣说：“我就是生命的粮，到我这里来的必定不饿，信我的永远不渴。”
So there's a startling declaration here.
所以在这里有一个很让人惊撼的一个宣告。
He says, you know, this how you get it from me. I'm it.
你怎么样得到这个生命的粮？你从我这儿得到，我就是那个生命的粮。
So, you know, at the heart of Christianity is not just a set of ethical rules, things we follow, how to live, what to do, and what not to do.
在我们的信仰，基督教的信仰的中间，不是一些教条，该做这个，不该做那个，该行这个，不该行那
There
个。
are Christian ethics,
我们是有基督教的一种
but that's not what it's
道德的
about.
教导，但是这不是我们信仰的中心，
It's not philosophy,
也不是哲学，
how to live well.
也不是哲学告诉你怎么样能够活得更好。
It's not mysticism.
它也不是一个奇妙奥秘的一个东西，
It's a friendship.
它是一个友谊，
It's a personal relationship.
是一个个人的关系。
Christianity has its intellectual side, it has its mystical side, but the most important thing is that it's a personal relationship with this this Jesus.
基督教的信仰有它那种知识方面的，也有它奥秘的方面，但它的中心是你与基督中间的这个关系。
That you can. This is really unique.
这是一个很独特。
If you say to a Hindi or a Muslim, you can be a friend with God, they're going to say, you're just blasphemous.
那如果你对一个印度教的或者是另外一些宗教的话，你说你可以跟神成为朋友的话，人家会说哇，你这是在亵渎神。
Our God is too high, too remote.
我们的神是高高在上的，是与人隔离很远的。
Too distant, too great.
是太伟大的，是太遥远的。
But the Christians have a God who cried.
但是我们的这个信仰，基督教信仰是一个与你一同流泪的神。
Who laughed, who got angry, who suffered.
他会笑，他会哭，他会受苦。
On the cross.
他在十字架上的时候，他是有痛苦的，流血的。
All of this is based on the bread of heaven.
这一切都是告诉我们天上的粮到底是什么。
Think about what a relationship looks like.
让你想到一个人际关系一个关系到底是什么。
Just practically speaking, a marriage is a relationship.
比方说，婚姻是一个人际关系。
And as long as it's a personal relationship, then it's close. But sometimes it becomes like a business relationship.
人际关系事实上应该是很亲密的，但有时候这个人际关系会变得疏远。
Yeah, so we still share duties and responsibilities, but we don't have that closeness.
但是虽然我们大家一起做事一起分担事情，但没有那种亲密感。
This sense of affection and commitment.
那一种彼此之间的爱，彼此之间的委身。
Just to look into each other's eyes.
而看着对方的眼睛呀。
Yeah, to spend time together, to support each other, to bear one another's burden, to set their priority as your priority.
花时间在一起，然后彼此分担对方的重担，把对方看为重要的事情当作重要的。
That's what it's about. Yeah. Because a real Christian is someone who actually has a personal relationship with this Jesus.
一个真正的基督徒，他是与基督与耶稣中间有个人的关系的。
It's not a matter of whether you're raised in a religious home or whether you attend church. It's whether you have that relationship.
事实上，不管是不是你是一个这种基督教家庭长大，或者你来教会，最重要的是你与耶稣中间有关系。
Yeah. So the bread of heaven is a personal relationship. And it's a very close one.
所以，当我们讲到生命的粮的时候，它是一个人与耶稣之间非常亲密的一个关系。
Yeah, because, and the other thing about this bread is that it's broken.
另外一方面，这一个天上的粮，它是一个破碎的粮。
It says here, "This is my flesh, which I'll give for the life of the world."
他说：“这是我的肉，是为这个世界所摆出来的，所付出的。”
A lot of people think Jesus is a good guy, moral teacher.
有很多人觉得耶稣就是一个好人，他就是一个很好的道德的老师。
But in this text, he wants to make sure you don't say that, because he said, "Eat of my flesh, drink of my blood." That's cuckoo stuff.
但就是因为这一段经文，使得你不能就光这样说耶稣就是一个好人，一个好老师，因为他在这里告诉你说，你一定要吃他的肉，你要喝他的血。
That's incredibly unique among religious faith, that there is a God that is scarred.
这是一个非常独特的一点，在我们的这个信仰里，我们的这个神身上是背着伤痕的，是为我们破碎的一个神。
Our image of perfection is, when we think about perfection, we think of something symmetric, something, flawless.
当我们想到什么是完美的时候，我们觉得是对称的，是美丽的，是没有任何的瘢痕的。
But do you remember in Revelation who was sitting on the throne?
但你记不记得在启示录告诉我们，坐在宝座上的是什么
And one day when we worship, we will see one who is as the lamb that was slain.
在有一天，在永恒，当我们敬拜的时候，在宝座上坐的那个是曾被宰杀的羔羊。
Can you imagine that the one that's sitting up there is a scarred lamb.
你会不会想到我们在永恒敬拜的那个是带着伤痕的一个羔羊呢？
Do you remember when Jesus was resurrected and he appeared to the disciples?
你记不记得当耶稣从死里复活向门徒显现的时候？
Do you remember that he said to Thomas, he said, Thomas, would you like to come and see my hand that was pierced?
你记得他对那个Thomas 这样说：“你来看看我的手。”
We're worshiping a God that carries scars.
我们所敬拜的这个神是身上带着伤痕的那一个
The
神。
bread that was broken.
这一个生命的粮是为我们破碎
Isn't
的
that revolutionary? Doesn't that change your view of what is good and whole and perfect?
你不觉得这个不会改变你对于什么是完美、什么是完整、什么是健全的那个形象吗？
Have you considered when those scars showed up on his hands?
你有没有想到什么时候这些伤痕出现在耶稣的手上呢？
You know, we talked about it last time I was speaking. You know, to God, every point in time is equally accessible.
我们上次讲到，对于神而言，时间的这个任何一个点，对他而言都是同时发生
For
的。
us, we're always in the river of time, like a meandering river.
对我们而言，时间就好像一个弯弯转转的河流一样。
Because we are a boat in this meandering river, we cannot look beyond past our other bend.
因为对我们而言，我们就好像是这个弯曲河流中的一艘船，所以我们看不见下一个转点。
But God is transcendent. He looks down upon this river. He sees every river, he can access every point equivalent.
但是神是超越，他是从上往下看的，所以他可以看到时间线的每一点。
The instant he made a creature that would say no, that can say no, he was ready to die for that creature.
当他造了一个可以说不的这一个动物的时候，就是这一个人的时候，他就已经预备为人死了。
The instant that he made Adam and Eve and put that tree in the middle of the garden, the scars appeared in his hands.
当他造了亚当跟夏娃跟放的那一棵树在伊甸园的时候，这个伤痕就已经出现在耶稣的身上了。
It's, you know, I drive a Tesla.
我开了一辆车是一个 Tesla，
You know, and it's a Model 3. I'm quite proud of it. I quite enjoy it.
是一个 Model 3，我很喜欢这一辆车。
And then the other day, I backed it into something. I bashed it up on the side.
就有一天我退车的时候，我就把它刮了，撞到了。
It actually doesn't look like you can see much, but I took it in to repair. They told me it's going to cost a lot of money because one thing you don't know about a Tesla is that it's very expensive to fix. They have to do all these things whatever.
就有一天我拿去，就是希望把它修一下，人家告诉我说，因为这是一个 Tesla， 所以修这个车非常非常贵。
Then I looked at it again and I said, oh, it's not much of a scratch.
所以我再看一下这个车，我说，哎呀，那个刮的也没太厉害。
And then the other day I started thinking about this and I said, actually, I kind of like it.
那另一天，当我在想到这个伤痕的这个事情，我就想到我的 Tesla， 我就还蛮喜欢它的。
You know, it is what it is. We are what we are, and God is who He is. Why does He have a scar on?
我们就是这一副德性，但是神就是爱我们。你想想看，为什么神的身上有伤痕？
Why does He have that scar?
为什么神的身上是带着伤痕的一位神？
Why is it of all religions we have one that worships God with something broken?
为什么在所有的宗教中间，为什么我们宗教所敬拜的是一个身上带着伤痕的神？
Because there's something that He's carrying that reflects what's happening in our lives.
因为他身上带着伤痕，是反映我们人在这一生所经历的。
If we have no scars, He doesn't need a scar.
如果我们身上没有带伤痕，神是不需要伤痕的。
But we carry those scars, so He carries a scar.
但是因为我们每个人身上都带着伤痕，所以他的身上也带着伤痕。
And His body was broken for you.
他的身体是为了你而破碎。
For all the times that you and I did incredibly stupid things that we'd be embarrassed to admit to ourselves.
就是为了你我们所做的见不得人，自己都不愿意想的那些事情，
Yes.
他带着伤痕。
So okay, so Jesus says, I am the bread of life.
所以耶稣说：“我就是生命的粮。”
So how do you get the bread of life?
你怎么得到它呢？
Well, one thing I can tell you is that you can't earn it.
有一点我告诉你是你赚不来的。
This is what they asked him. These guys asked him. He says, "What must we do to do the works that God requires?"
所以在这里，别人也问这个问题啊，就是我们当行什么，才算做神的工？也就是说，我们怎么得到这个粮？
And what does Jesus say?
耶稣的回答是什么呢？
This is the work of God.
耶稣回答
Believe in the one who He sent.
耶稣回答说：“信神所差来的，这就是做神的工。”
What kind of work is that?
这是什么样的一个工作？
I want to prepare for an exam. Which question should I do? And He says, "Oh, you just believe."
呀，当我说我要考试，我要预备考试的时候，我应该读些哪一些书？但是耶稣的回答说：“你相信就好。”
You see, He is the bread of life.
他是生命的粮，
You can't earn it. You have to eat it.
你赚不了它，但是你要吃它。
It's so deeply personal. You have to eat it.
这是一个非常个人性、非常紧密的一件事情，你必须要把它吃
You
下
have
去。
to. You can't just hire him to be your attorney. You can't bring him into your life to be your advisor. You have to eat it.
你不能光雇他，好像他当你的律师，你不能好像就请他来说当你的那个 counselor， 当你的训导师，你要把它给吃了才行。
Yeah. There's this intimate relationship, blood on blood, life on life relationship.
这是一个非常亲密的关系，是生命对着生命，血对血的。
I had a friend I was talking to recently who said, Jesus is my savior. When I meet God the Father, I have to bring Jesus with me.
我最近跟一个人在谈，就是说，耶稣是我的救主。当我去看天父的时候，我是不是需要带着他一起去？
No, He is the bread of life, and you already have Him with you.
他是生命的粮，你已经拥有了他。
If you really know Him,
如果你真的认识他，
the only way you would have a chance to enter the presence of the God who created the whole world is because Jesus is in you already.
你唯一能够去见那个创造宇宙万物的主宰，就是因为耶稣已经在你的里面了。
Jesus has what you hunger for.
耶稣就是你所饥渴的那一位，
But you cannot earn it.
但是你赚不来它。
There's a story called Babbitt's Feast.
有一个故事叫做 Babbitt's
How
Feast，
many of you have heard of it?
有多少人听过这个 Babbitt's Feast？
It's a short story by a Danish writer.
它是一个丹麦的作者所写的一个短篇小说。
It describes a remote fishing village, very pious, very religious group living there.
它是讲到在一个很偏远的一个小渔村里面住了很多非常虔诚、非常敬天式的一些人。
They are very strict,
他们非常的严谨，
but they're not very happy, at least by description.
但是他们却不快乐。
Yeah. One day, a woman came to their village.
有一天
I'm
有
cutting
一
it
个
short. It's really a good story, but I'm making it short.
有一天有个女的来到他们的村庄，
She came from Paris.
她是从巴黎来
She
的，
was escaping some persecution.
因为有人要逼迫她，所以她逃离那个，所以她到了
The
这个村。
recommendation letter she carried was from someone they knew, and at the end, the guy said, "Oh, and she can cook."
所以有个推荐她的人，到最后就是说她是会做饭。
So they put Babbitt, this lady, to work. So she cooked what they ate, which was gruel and thin rice porridge, well, whatever porridge.
呀，所以这些人就说好吧，那你来给我们做饭，但你要做我们吃的那些东西，每人都只吃稀饭喝粥。
Yeah, so for 10 years, that's what she did.
所以10年她都是这个样为他们做他们平常吃的东西。
One day a letter came, and it's for Babbitt. It says her friends bought some lottery tickets. She won a lottery, 10,000 francs.
就有一天，这个女的巴贝收到了一封信，就说你的朋友给你买了彩券、乐透啊，结果你中了，所以你现在有1万块的 francs。
Babbitt said, "Well, haven't asked for much from you over these years. I want to cook for you a proper French meal.
所以爸爸就跟这个渔村的人就说，你们这个样的供应给我，所以我要为你们做一餐的法国餐。
They said, well, she didn't ask for much, so we'll let her cook. And then pretty soon, all these things started to appear, ship after ship of very fancy, exotic stuff.
所以过了没有多久，船就一只一只过来，都带了非常的珍贵的、奇异的一些东西过来。
Champagne and whole pork and live turtles.
香槟啊、猪啊，甚至海龟啊。
And then that night, so this is I'm cutting it short, but they had two special guests. One of them is a general who had originally courted. Never mind. Well, they have a special guest. Is a general, and there's only about 12, 15 of them. They had that dinner.
所以在那一天晚宴的时候，差不多只有12到15个人，其中有一个嘉宾。
Yeah.
他是一个将军。
And once they started eating and drinking, one amazing dish after another.
当他们这些人开始吃的时候，一个一个非常奇妙的好美味就出现了。
Yeah, and this general said, you know, this champagne, the only place I've ever tasted it in a place called Café Angela in Paris, right by the palace.
所以这个将军说，这个香槟酒太好喝了，唯一的就是在巴黎一个皇宫旁边的那个餐馆吃过。
They kept eating, they kept relaxing. Suddenly they started talking about their lives, about stupid things they've done, some of the mistakes they made, and some of the things that they should have said sorry for, and they started saying sorry.
所以这一群人吃着吃着，然后就开始彼此有很美好的交流，讲到自己这一生所做的一些荒谬的事情，以及彼此得罪的一些事情，就开始彼此道歉。
Yeah, and at the end of the meal, they were going to say goodbye to Babbitt. They discovered Babbitt can't leave because Babbitt spent all her 10,000 francs on this dinner.
所以当他们都吃完了以后，他们就说可能要跟这个 Babbitt 这个女的说再见，然后发现 Babbitt 是没有办法走的，因为他把他这个1万块的 francs 都花在这个晚餐。
That she wasn't planning on leaving anyway.
因为他并不要走，他并没有要走。
And that she used to be the chef at Café Angela.
然后他以前就是那个法国非常有名餐馆的那个主厨。
Grace is something you can't pay for.
所以跟你讲，恩典是你没有办法买来，你没有办法赚来。
You can just receive it or not receive it.
你就只能接受它，或者你不接
It's
受
like
它。
that feast.
就像这一个餐会一样。
The best things in life are not things you can earn.
人生最好的东西不是你赚得来的，
It's what's given to you.
是给你的。
You know, we ourselves had so many years ago. So it's our 37th anniversary now, but this is our 20th anniversary.
我们现在已经结婚37年，这是我们结婚20周年的时候的一个照片。
We were having a dinner in a place called the Rose Inn.
那天晚上我们在一个地方叫 The Rose Inn， 在那里吃晚饭。
I wanted to find some place special, so I called them up, and they said, "Oh, it's a Wednesday. We don't open on Wednesdays."
所以因为那一天是一个礼拜三呢 ，Charles 就打电话说，我希望能够找一个很特别的地
It's a
方。
remote place in a small town in upstate New York. I said, "Oh, that's really too bad. It's our 20th anniversary."
这在纽约上周，但这些人回答说，可惜礼拜三呢，礼拜三我们不开门。
So they thought about it. They said, "Okay, come in."
就他们想了一下，就说好吧，你们来吧。
So we went in on Wednesday. We walked in. We were shocked because we were the only people in the entire restaurant.
所以那天我们就去了，我们真的非常惊讶，因为那一天晚上，整个的这一个餐厅就只有我们2个人。
There was a bottle of champagne already on ice. We didn't even order it.
已经有一瓶香槟酒放在冰上，我们没有叫这个酒啊。
At the end, there was a dessert. We never even knew what to order. Well, it didn't matter because we couldn't pay for it anyway.
呀，结果我们吃完了以后，有一个巧克力蛋糕，我们就觉得这实在是太妙了。虽然我们没有叫这个，我们知道这个是一餐我们付不起的一餐，是买不到的一餐。
This is the Rose Inn. The Rose Inn's most famous feature is the spiral wooden staircase.
但这个 Rose Inn 最有名的就是它有一个木的旋转的这个楼梯，最美的。
It's spectacular, and we were the only ones sitting there.
那天晚上，因为就是我们2个，他就把这一个桌子，我们俩坐就
Put it
摆
in the
在
middle of the room.
就摆在这个旋转的木梯的前面。
We were amazed. It didn't matter what we left in tip because it couldn't pay for it.
呀，我们实在是非常的震撼啊！不论你留多少小账，你都没有办法。
But you know,
回报
that
人
was
家。
April 4th is our wedding anniversary. We were there. April 9th, sorry, April 9th. I think April 9th, right? But a week and a half later, a little over, about 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks later, it was Easter.
呀，那个是我们的结婚纪念4月9号，然后大概2个礼拜以后是复活节。
That Sunday I was preaching.
那个礼拜天我在讲道。
And that morning when I looked, so this is the staircase. It's really beautiful.
所以那就是那个旋转的那个木梯，非常
That
的美。
morning when I looked in the newspaper, this is what I saw on the front page.
就那天早上，当我看到报纸的时候，我就看到了这一幅图画。
And it was totally destroyed. There was a fire the night before Easter.
在复活节前一天有一场大火，整个的就烧掉了。
This was where we were sitting less than 2 weeks ago.
2个礼拜以前，我们就坐在这个旋转的梯的前面。
You know, life is very brief.
人生非常的短暂，
Grace is real,
恩典是真实的，
and it lasts to eternal life.
恩典一直存留到永恒。
You know, this week, an old friend from Michigan, a professor, sent me something.
所以这个礼拜，我有一个好朋友，是密西根以前的一个朋友，寄给了我一些东西。
He was writing a book on, you know, great professors or something. I happened, for some reason, to get into a chapter.
呀，他写了一本书，就是说美国最有名的名教授，其中有一章讲的竟然是
It's
我。
not in print. I don't think he's going to sell very many, but but he wanted to interview us. So he asked me a question. He said, and he knows I'm Christian, but I don't think he's Christian. He said, if there is a heaven, what would you like God to say to you when you arrive?
呀，他知道你是基督徒，他不知道你是基督徒，他知道你是基督徒，不知道他是不是
But he
基督
said,
徒。
I ask every professor in the book the same few questions. One of them is, if there is a heaven, what would you like God to say to you when you arrive?
但这个问题是所有的教授，他所面试所有教授问的这个问题，就是如果你到了天堂的时候，你希望神一看到你对你说什么？
I thought something like what the classic Sunday school answer would be like, well done, good and faithful servant.
那我本来是在想，我要他大概讲的就是你善良忠心的仆人吧。
But then I thought harder.
但当我再仔细想一想，
And I wrote him, I just sent it to him actually this morning while I was preparing the sermon. I said, I don't think God's going to have to say anything.
就我今天早上回他信的时候，我就跟他说，我觉得神不会要说什么，不需要说什么。
I said, I think I'll probably cry.
我想我大概会哭，
And then I said, I think he probably will too.
我在想神也会哭。
Jesus said, I'm the bread of life.
耶稣告诉我说，他就是生命的粮，
Every pain, every suffering,
每一个痛苦，每一个苦难，
every time you are not understood,
每一次你觉得别人不能了解你，
every time you think there is nowhere to go.
每一次你都觉得已经走投无尽的时候，
That's why there is a scar
这就是为什么耶稣身上有伤痕。
on the God that we worship,
我们敬拜的神的身上是带着伤痕的，
the bread of life.
因为他是生命的粮。
That's right.
我们来祷告。
Let's just quiet our hearts for a minute.
我们安静一下我们的心。
Lord, you are the bread of life.
主啊，你是生命的粮，
We want to receive you.
我们要接受你，
We want to eat of your flesh,
我们要吃你的肉，
drink of your blood,
喝你的血，
because you are dealing with the gravity problems of our lives.
因为你所要解决的是我们人生觉得不可能解决的问题。
Lord, we're sorry.
主啊，我们真的是对不起，
And it's a long way home.
回家的路好像很远，
But we know you'll be waiting for us.
但我们知道你在另外那一头等着我们，
And you are with us every day.
而每一天你都和我们在一起。
When you say we just need to receive you,
当你说我们所需要做的就是来接受你，
we trust you.
我们相信你，
So we want to receive you.
所以我们愿意接受你。
If that is the prayer of your heart,
如果这个是你心中的祷告，
that you want to take Jesus at his word,
你愿意接受耶稣的话，
to receive him into your life,
把它接受到你的生命里。
I just invite you,
我现在邀请你
just take a small step of faith.
走小小的信心的一步，
Just say to him, Lord, here I am.
对他说：“主啊，我就在这里，
I'm yours.
我属于你，
I don't want to be separated from you.
我不要再与你分离，
I depend on you.
我依靠你，
You are the center of my life.
你是我生命的中心，
Help me to live it out.
帮助我能够活出这个样的生命。
If anyone has never publicly professed their faith in Christ,
如果在这里你没有公众的宣告过你的信仰，
but you'd like to do so today,
而今天你愿意这样做的话，
I just invite you to just raise your hand.
我邀请你现在把你手举一下，
You just raise your hand,
把你手举一下，
and we can pray for you.
我们可以为你祷告。
It's just for you and for God to see.
这是给你，只是给神看的，
It's an acknowledgement of need,
也就是你承认你有这样的需要。
that there are gravity problems in your life that you cannot solve.
人生有一些你解决不了的问题，
But you want Him in your life,
但你要他在你的生命里，
not as a consultant,
他不是光在那里给你做辅导，
not as an advisor.
他不是光在那里给你做劝告，
You really want Him in you.
你要他在你的生命里。
Is there anyone here?
请问在这里有哪一
I
位？
just invite you to raise your hand.
我邀请你把手举一下，
Anyone?
有哪一位？
Okay, let's pray
我们
together.
来祷告。
Lord, we thank you for this beautiful morning.
主，谢谢您给我们这么美丽的早晨，
First, thank you for your unchanging words.
谢谢您的话语永不改变。
Lord, you know our hearts.
主，你知道我们的心，
Help us to see ourselves as you see them.
帮助我们以你的眼光来看我们自己。
In Jesus' name.
奉耶稣名求。